Good evening. This is All India Radio. I am Naresh Mago and with me is Manoj Singh Rana with the evening news. The headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attributes the success of Operation Ganga to India's growing influence in the global arena. Inaugurates Golden Jubilee celebration of Symbiosis University in Pune. Over 15,900 Indians brought back from Ukraine's neighboring countries under Operation Ganga so far. Central Industrial Security Force celebrates its 53rd Raising Day today. Home Minister Amit Shah appreciates the role of CISF in securing nation's critical assets. All arrangements are in place for 7th and final phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. Prime Minister to interact with beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana on the occasion of Jan Aushadhi Divas tomorrow. In cricket, Indian men beat Sri Lanka by an innings in 222 runs in first cricket test at Mohali, take a 1-0 lead in two-match series. In Women's Cricket World Cup, India thrashed Pakistan by 107 runs in their opening encounter in New Zealand. And BCCI announces schedule for IPL 2022. Defending champion Chennai Super Kings to face Kolkata Knight Riders in the opening match in Mumbai on 26th March. As we start the bulletin, we appeal to our listeners to stay safe from COVID-19 by following these 4 simple steps. Get fully vaccinated, wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, and focus on hand and face hygiene. And now the news in detail. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has said India was able to bring back thousands of its nationals safely from war zone in Ukraine under Operation Ganga due to the country's growing influence in the global arena. The Prime Minister was addressing the students, faculty and alumni after inaugurating the Golden Jubilee celebration of Symbiosis University at Pune in Maharashtra today.
यूक्रेन संकट के समय भी देख रहे हैं कि कैसे ऑपरेशन गंगा चलाकर भारत अपने नागरिकों को युद्ध क्षेत्र से सुरक्षित बाहर निकाल रहा है। दुनिया के बड़े बड़े देशों को ऐसा करने में कई मुसीबतें झेलनी पड़ रही हैं, लेकिन ये भारत का बढ़ता हुआ प्रभाव है कि हम हजारों छात्रों को वहां से अपने वतन वापस ला चुके हैं.
The Prime Minister highlighted on the confidence of New India and mentioned that India is among the largest economies of the world and maintains the 3rd largest startup ecosystem of the world. He said missions like Startup India, Stand Up India, Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat are representing the aspirations of countrymen. Mr. Modi said, today's India is innovating, improving and influencing the whole world. He said that India has emerged as a global leader in the sectors which were previously considered out of reach.
जिन सेक्टर्स में देश पहले अपने पैरों पर आगे बढ़ने के बारे में सोचता भी नहीं था, उन सेक्टर्स में अब हिंदुस्तान ग्लोबल लीडर बनने की राह पर है. मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग का एग्जांपल हमारे सामने है. कुछ साल पहले तक हमारे लिए मोबाइल मैन्युफैक्चरिंग और ऐसे ही न जाने कितने इलेक्ट्रॉनिक्स का एक ही मतलब था, इंपोर्ट करो.
Regarding the defense sector, the Prime Minister said India, which was recognized as the world's largest importer, is now becoming a defense exporter. He said 2 major defense corridors are coming up in the country today where the biggest modern weapons will be made to meet the defense needs of the country.
डिफेंस सेक्टर में हम दशकों से ये मानकर चल रहे थे कि जो दूसरे देश हमें देंगे हम उसी के भरोसे कुछ कर सकते हैं, लेकिन आज स्थिति भी बदली है, परिस्थिति भी बदले हुए है.
The Prime Minister called upon the students to take full advantage of opening of various sectors. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister inaugurated the 12-kilometer stretch of the total 32.2 kilometers of the Pune Metro Rail project. He also inaugurated and laid the foundation stone of several development projects in Pune. Speaking on the occasion, the Prime Minister said the Pune Metro will ease the mobility of people and eliminate the stress of traffic jams and pollution while increasing the ease of living of the people of city.
आज हमारी सरकार मास ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के साधनों और विशेषकर मेट्रो कनेक्टिविटी पर खास ध्यान दे रही है। 2014 तक देश के सिर्फ दिल्ली एनसीआर में ही मेट्रो का एक व्यापक विस्तार हुआ था। बाकी इक्का दुक्का शहरों में मेट्रो पहुंचनी शुरू हुई थी। आज देश के 2 दर्जन से अधिक शहरों में मेट्रो या तो ऑपरेशनल हो चुकी है या फिर जल्द चालू होने वाली है।
The Prime Minister said, in today's fast-growing India, they have to focus on speed as well as scale. Mr. Modi said, for this, his government has prepared PM Gati Shakti National Master Plan.
आज के तेजी से बढ़ते हुए भारत में हमें स्पीड पर भी ध्यान देना होगा और स्केल पर भी। इसलिए ही हमारी सरकार ने पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान बनाया है। हमने देखा है कि अक्सर परियोजनाओं में देरी की वजह होती है अलग अलग विभागों में, अलग अलग मंत्रालयों में, सरकार में तालमेल की कमी। इस वजह से होता ये है कि जब वर्षों के बाद कोई परियोजना पूरी भी होती है तो वो आउटडेटेड हो जाती है, उसकी प्रासंगिकता ही खत्म हो जाती है। पीएम गति शक्ति नेशनल मास्टर प्लान इन्हीं सारे विरोधाभासों को दूर करने का काम करेगा।
Among the projects for which the Prime Minister laid the foundation stones today include rejuvenation and pollution abatement of Mula Mutha River at Pune.
मूला मुठा नदी की साफ सफाई और सौंदर्यीकरण के लिए भी पुणे महानगर पालिका को केंद्र सरकार पूरा सहयोग दे रही है। नदियां फिर से जीवंत होगी तो शहर के लोगों को भी सुकून मिलेगा, उन्हें भी नई ऊर्जा मिलेगी। और मैं तो शहरों में रहने वालों को आग्रह करूंगा कि साल में एक बार तिथि तय करके रेगुलर नदी उत्सव मनाना। नदी के प्रति श्रद्धा, नदी का महात्मा है, पर्यावरण की दृष्टि से प्रशिक्षण, पूरे शहर में नदी उत्सव का वातावरण बनाना चाहिए। तब जाकर के हमारे नदियों का महत्व हम समझेंगे।
The Prime Minister reached Pune this morning. After reaching the city, Mr. Modi unveiled the statue of Shri Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj in the premises of Pune Municipal Corporation. The statue is made up of 1,850 kilogram gunmetal and is about 9.5 feet tall.
Over 2,100 Indian citizens were brought back today by 11 special civilian flights from Ukraine's neighbouring countries under Operation Ganga. With this, more than 15,900 Indians have been brought back since the special flights began on the 22nd of February. The Civil Aviation Ministry said the number of Indians airlifted by 66 special civilian flights has gone up to 13,852. Till date, the Indian Air Force has flown 10 sorties to bring back 2,056 passengers while taking 26 tons of relief load to these countries as part of Operation Ganga. Among the special civilian flights today, 9 landed in New Delhi while 2 reached Mumbai. There were 6 flights from Budapest, 2 from Bucharest and 2 from Rzeszów and 1 from Košice. Tomorrow, 8 special flights are expected to operate from Budapest, Suceava and Bucharest, bringing in more than 1,500 Indians back home. The Indian Embassy in Ukraine has requested all Indian nationals who still remain in Ukraine to fill up their details contained in a Google form on an urgent basis. The form has been given in the website and the social media handle of the embassy. The International Committee of the Red Cross said the evacuation of civilians from the besieged southeastern city of Mariupol in Ukraine has been halted. The Red Cross in a tweet said today's attempt to start evacuation of an estimated 2 lakh people has failed. The failed attempts highlight the absence of a detailed and functioning agreement between parties to the conflict. A Ukrainian official has also blamed that a second attempt to evacuate civilians from a southern city has failed due to continued Russian shelling. Ukrainian and Russian forces blamed each other for failing to observe a ceasefire to allow local people to escape after a similar agreement fell apart yesterday.
Russia's defense ministry has claimed that it has struck and destroyed Ukraine's Starokostiantiniv military air base with long-range high-precision weapons. Making the announcement this morning, Russian Defense Ministry spokesperson Igor Konashenkov said a Ukrainian-controlled S-300 missile defense system has also been destroyed. Mr. Konashenkov added that Russia shot down 10 Ukrainian planes and helicopters over the past 24 hours. On the other hand, Ukraine's defense ministry in its daily report on the conflict has claimed that Russian forces have lost 88 aircraft and helicopters since the war began. Russian President Vladimir Putin has told Turkish President Tayyip Erdogan that Moscow would only halt its military operation if Ukraine stopped fighting and its demands were met. The Russian news agency Interfax reported that President Putin, during his phone call with President Erdogan, said that the operation was going according to plan and to schedule. The agency, quoting Kremlin, said Mr. Putin expressed the hope that Ukrainian negotiators would take a more constructive approach at talks and take into account the reality on the ground. However, Turkish President's office said that Mr. Erdogan has appealed for an urgent general ceasefire.
Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett said his country will continue to assist in finding a diplomatic solution to the Ukraine crisis. The Israeli Prime Minister was speaking during his cabinet meeting hours after returning from a surprise meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Moscow. Mr. Bennett then travelled to Germany, where he met Chancellor Olaf Scholz. The Israeli Prime Minister revealed no details about his talks with the Russian President, but called the country's mediation efforts as moral duty. The UN Security Council is scheduled to hold an emergency meeting tomorrow on the humanitarian crisis triggered in Ukraine as the Russian military operations intensify. The French and Mexican missions to the UN are seeking the Council's approval of a resolution calling for unhindered humanitarian access in Ukraine. According to media reports, the meeting will be followed by closed consultations on a draft resolution on the humanitarian plight in Ukraine. You're listening to the evening news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attributes the success of Operation Ganga to India's growing influence in the global arena. Inaugurates Golden Jubilee celebration of Symbiosis University in Pune. Over 15,900 Indians brought back from Ukraine's neighbouring countries under Operation Ganga so far. Central Industrial Security Force celebrates its 53rd Raising Day today. Home Minister Amit Shah appreciates role of CISF in securing nation's critical assets. All arrangements are in place for the 7th and final phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. Prime Minister to interact with beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Bharati Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana on the occasion of Jan Aushadhi Divas tomorrow. In cricket, Indian men beat Sri Lanka by an innings and 222 runs in the first cricket test at Mohali, take a 1-0 lead in two-match series. In Women's Cricket World Cup, India thrashed Pakistan by 107 runs in their opening encounter in New Zealand. And BCCI announces schedule for IPL 2022. Defending champion Chennai Super Kings to face Kolkata Knight Riders in the opening match in Mumbai on 26th March. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर।
8700014242।
Central Industrial Security Force CISF celebrated its 53rd Raising Day today. Speaking at the Raising Day ceremony of CISF at Ghaziabad, Home Minister Amit Shah appreciated the role of CISF in securing the nation's critical assets. He said the multi-skilled CISF is the only industrial security force in the world which provides security to very sensitive installations, ports, nuclear plants and airports. Mr. Shah also lauded the role of CISF personnel during the coronavirus pandemic for risking their lives and taking care of fellow Indians who were returning from abroad. He said CISF personnel are taking care of citizens returning from Ukraine under Operation Ganga as well.
फ्रंटलाइनर वर्कर के रूप में हो, चाहे इस देश के औद्योगिक उत्पादन को निर्बाध तरीके से चलने के लिए, चलते रखने के लिए जिन्होंने अपनी जान गंवाई है, वो सभी को मैं मन से, पूरे बल की ओर से और पूरे देश की ओर से श्रद्धांजलि देना चाहता हूं। आज भी ऑपरेशन गंगा चल रहा है। मैं ऑपरेशन गंगा के जितने भी दृश्य देखता हूं, उसमें मेरे सीआईएसएफ के जवान को जरूर ढूंढता हूं। विनम्रता के साथ चेहरे पर आनंद की लकीरें लिए हुए वो जवान यूक्रेन में फंसे हुए अपने नागरिकों को आते हुए देखता है और संतुष्टि का अनुभव करता है।
CISF DG Sheel Vardhan Singh said the force is playing an important role in the development of the country by being at the forefront of security at the space and atomic energy centers, ports, airports and metro rails. All preparations are in place for the 7th and last phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. 54 constituencies spread over 9 districts are going to polls in this phase. Polling will be held from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. However, at Chakia Assembly constituency in Chandauli district, along with Robertsganj and Dudi assembly seats in Sonbhadra district, the voting will be conducted till 4 p.m. A total of 613 candidates, including 75 women, are in the fray in the 7th phase.
The 9 districts which will go for poll tomorrow are Azamgarh, Mau, Jaunpur, Ghazipur, Chandauli, Varanasi, Mirzapur, Bhadohi and Sonbhadra. These districts are in Purvanchal region of a state which is considered backward. A large section of society is working here in power loom industry, and in recent years, government has tried to develop this industry and promoted also the agriculture products of the region. In political terms, it has a win-win situation for all parties. While Varanasi is in focus because of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Azamgarh is considered as a bastion of Samajwadi Party. Many ministers of state government like Neelkant Tiwari, Anil Rajbhar, Ravindra Jaiswal and Sangeeta Balwant Bind are contesting in this phase. Many important leaders of opposition like Shadab Fatima, Om Prakash Rajbhar and Dara Singh Chauhan are also in fray. Sushil Chandra Tiwari, AIR News, Varanasi.
In Assam, by-election to Maujili Assembly seat will also be held tomorrow. Polling will take place from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Assembly elections have already concluded in Manipur, Punjab, Uttarakhand and Goa. Counting of votes in Uttar Pradesh along with these 4 states will take place on the 10th of March.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with the beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Bharati Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana and the owners of Jan Aushadhi Kendras on the occasion of Jan Aushadhi Divas tomorrow through video conferencing. The interaction will be followed by the address of the Prime Minister on the occasion. The theme of the event is Jan Aushadhi, Jan Upyogi. The Jan Aushadhi Week is being celebrated across the country from the 1st of March to generate awareness about the usage of generic medicines and benefits of Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana. Over 178 crore 83 lakh doses of COVID vaccines have been administered in the country under the nationwide vaccination drive so far. In the last 24 hours, 5,476 new cases of COVID-19 were reported in the country. 9,754 patients recovered during the same period. The recovery rate now stands at 98.66%.
Union Minister of Ports, Shipping and Waterways and Ayush, Sarbananda Sonowal, has received the cargo vessel MV Lal Bahadur Shastri, which carried food grains from Patna to Pandu port in Guwahati via Bangladesh. Speaking on this landmark moment, Union Minister Sarbananda Sonowal said the feat marks the beginning of a new age of inland water transport in Assam. He said this is going to provide the business community a viable, economic and ecological alternative. In the Kashmir Valley, a civilian was killed and at least 21 others sustained splinter injuries after terrorists hurled a grenade on security forces in the busy Amira Kadal market of Srinagar city this afternoon. Meanwhile, the area has been cordoned off by security forces and a massive manhunt launched to nab the assailants. Further details are awaited. Lieutenant Governor Manoj Sinha has strongly condemned the terror attack in Srinagar today. He expressed his deepest condolences to the family of the innocent civilian killed in the attack and wished speedy recovery to the others injured. Mr. Sinha said that his administration is determined to dismantle the terror ecosystem and defeat the terror menace that continues to be perpetrated by the neighboring country.
As our nation celebrates the 75th year of independence, a series of events is being organized by the government as part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. To commemorate the occasion as a Jan Utsav, All India Radio News brings its listeners a special quiz on India's freedom movement and its glorious history. The quiz is being conducted every Monday and Tuesday in the morning news. The next question of Amrit Mahotsav quiz will be shared with listeners tomorrow in the morning news. And now, let's listen to our special program, Azadi Ka Safar, highlighting the importance of the day during the freedom struggle.
Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav.
Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News, Birth of a Nation.
India's glorious freedom struggle is one of the greatest struggles the modern world has ever witnessed. AIR News brings you a glimpse of the struggle every day.
স্বাধীন হবে দেশ ও মা তোর ছেলেরা ঘর ছেড়েছে.
In today's episode, we remember revolutionary freedom fighter Ambika Chakrabarti, who died on the 6th of March 1962. He was a member of the Indian Republican Army, which was led by Masterdar Surya Sen. He later became a member of the Chittagong Jugantar Party.
বারুদ ভরা স্বপ্ন বুকে স্বাধীন হবে দেশ রে স্বাধীন হবে দেশ.
On the 18th of April 1930, Chakrabarti led a group of independence activists who damaged the whole communication system in the region of Chittagong. He became severely injured in a gunfight against the British Indian Army in Jalalabad on the 22nd of April 1930, but managed to escape. A few months later, Ambika Chakrabarti was detained by the British police from his hiding place and was sentenced to death after the trial.
Later, the death sentence was altered to transportation for life to the cellular jail in Port Blair. After independence, Ambika Chakrabarti joined politics and continued to serve people till his death in 1962. We salute the great nationalist.
We also remember the freedom fighter Moturi Satyanarayana, who died on the 6th of March 1995. An ardent Gandhian, Moturi participated in the Quit India movement of 1942.
After India became independent, Moturi was a member of the Constituent Assembly of India from 1948 to 1950. He served as a member of the Committee of the Indian Constitution for its language section. Moturi was twice nominated to Rajya Sabha. He was also a member of the Madras Legislative Council and the Central Advisory Board of Education of the Government of India.
Moturi actively worked towards promoting the Hindi language in the southern part of India from 1936 to 1961. He had joined the Dakshin Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha as a volunteer and gradually became the secretary and principal secretary of the organization. He was the editor of Hindi Pracharak, Hindi Prachar Samachar and Dakshina Bharat. He organized many institutions all over India such as Dakshina Bharat Hindi Prachar Sabha of Madras and was the founding secretary of Telugu Bhasha Samiti of Madras and Hyderabad.
Moturi was a recipient of the Padma Shri Award in 1954 and the Padma Bhushan Award in 1962. Andhra University honoured him with its Kala Prapurna Award in 1977. We salute the great Indian.
We also remember martyrs Bal Mukund Khudabakhsh of Delhi and Shiv Ghulam Dubey of Haryana, who participated in the First War of Indian Independence in 1857. They were executed by hanging on the 6th of March 1858. We salute the great sons of the soil.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Azadi Ka Safar with AIR News. See you in the next episode tomorrow.
आजादी के आंदोलन के खजाने में ऐसे ढेरों शब्द जिन्होंने बदल दिए इतिहास, तारीख बदलने वाले लफ्जों पर आकाशवाणी समाचार प्रसारित कर रहा है विशेष कार्यक्रम धरोहर हर सोमवार।
In men's cricket, India registered a thumping win against Sri Lanka by an innings and 222 runs in the first test match at Mohali. With the win, India have taken a 1-0 lead in the two-match series. Ravindra Jadeja was announced the man of the match for his all-round performance. He scored an unbeaten 175 runs and snared 9 wickets across both innings. Earlier, India enforced the follow-on after bowling out Sri Lanka for just 174 in the first innings. India's ace off-spinner Ravichandran Ashwin also took his 435th test wicket today to become the second highest wicket taker for India in the longest format. He overtook legendary all-rounder Kapil Dev, who had 434 wickets to his name. Ashwin is now only behind Anil Kumble's 619 test wickets. The next match in this series is a day and night test scheduled to begin on the 12th of March in Bengaluru.
In ICC Women's Cricket World Cup, India defeated Pakistan by 107 runs in their opening encounter at the Bay Oval in New Zealand today. Opting to bat, India posted 244 runs for 7 wickets. Smriti Mandhana, Sneh Rana and Pooja Vastrakar scored half-centuries each to propel the innings total past the 240-run mark. In reply, Pakistan were bowled out in 37 overs at the score of 137 runs. Sports Minister Anurag Thakur has congratulated Indian women's cricket team on their victory. The Board of Control for Cricket in India, BCCI, announced the schedule for the Indian Premier League IPL 2022 today, which will be held in Mumbai and Pune later this month. A total of 70 league matches and 4 playoff games will be played in 65 days. But schedule for the playoffs will be announced later. The matches are set to be played in a different format this year. 10 teams are divided into 2 groups this time. Defending champion Chennai Super Kings will take on Kolkata Knight Riders in the first match of the tournament on March the 26th at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai. The Maharashtra government has also decided to allow 25% spectators for all league matches during the tournament.
Now, let us take a look at the weather forecast for tomorrow. The national capital Delhi is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. The temperature will vary between 14 and 29 degrees Celsius. Mumbai will have a mainly clear sky, becoming partly cloudy towards evening or night. Chennai is likely to have a partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will have a partly cloudy sky. Visakhapatnam and Hyderabad will have a partly cloudy sky with haze. Bengaluru will have fog and mist in the morning and mainly clear sky later. Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong, Aizawl, Kohima, Itanagar and Gangtok will have a mainly clear sky. Agartala will have mist. Temperature will hover between 16 and 33 degrees Celsius. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi attributes the success of Operation Ganga to India's growing influence in the global arena. Inaugurates Golden Jubilee celebration of Symbiosis University in Pune. Over 15,900 Indians brought back from Ukraine's neighboring countries under Operation Ganga so far. Central Industrial Security Force celebrates its 53rd Raising Day today. Home Minister Amit Shah appreciates the role of CISF in securing nation's critical assets. All arrangements in place for 7th and final phase of assembly elections in Uttar Pradesh tomorrow. Prime Minister to interact with beneficiaries of Pradhan Mantri Bharatiya Jan Aushadhi Pariyojana on the occasion of Jan Aushadhi Divas tomorrow. In cricket, Indian men beat Sri Lanka by an innings and 222 runs in first cricket test at Mohali, take a 1-0 lead in the 2-match series. In Women's Cricket World Cup, India thrashed Pakistan by 107 runs in their opening encounter in New Zealand. And BCCI announces schedule for IPL 2022. defending champion Chennai Super Kings to face Kolkata Knight Riders in the opening match in Mumbai on 26 March. For details of these stories and more, log on to our website newsonair.gov.in and News on AIR app. And with that, we end the evening news. Good night.